the TMS Camp Stove 4 years later. So here it is. It's been outside the entire time. It does have surface rust. The paint protected it, but did not completely hold up to the weather. And some things like the grate was not painted and it's quite rusted. Also, you can see my modifications are a little bit rusted, but my door held up with the paint, and there's the brass file holder with a couple of slices of mica in it, and the mica's held up real well. And then here's the heat tubes, and I never painted those, but I had them hung on the stove, and they got quite a bit of surface rust on them. But they're not impossibly rusted. They're not weakened rusted. They're just surfaced. And you could easily sand those and paint those, or take the whole thing to powder coat, and it might be really strong and hold up real well. But it's been outside for 4 years, and it's really not in bad shape. Everything still quite works well. A little bit hard to put those heat tubes on with one hand. I'm holding the camera with one hand and putting them on, but I get them on, and there they sit. And that's pretty much how this thing has set out in the backyard for all this time. Now you can see it with my exhaust pipe, and that's a flex pipe that I bought from AutoZone. And it's not touching that wire. That wire is strictly for my hummingbird feeders, and as you'll see just now, that it's sitting there, that the exhaust pipe is holding its own. It's slightly bent forward and then bent over, and that allows it to set pretty good on the stove. The stove supports it, and it's rusted such that I do not believe that you could bend that pipe without putting some oil on it or some penetration fluid to make it bendable again. But it's pretty solid. And let's get it lit. And I'm just using some 2x2s that were left over from a prior project. But you can quickly see that the mica window is as good as it ever was. It's very enjoyable to be able to see that fire up inside the chamber. And here I am using a infrared laser pointer thermometer to get some readings on various parts of the stove. And as you can see, it varies. The air intake is lower temperature because of the air flowing into it, but it looks like at this point we're getting about 500 degrees and 600 degrees on the top. That little thermometer was not working, as I found out later. I took it off, and a spider had built a big nest in the coil, and so that's the reason why it wasn't working at this point. I took it off and cleaned it, and as you'll see in just a second, it started to work, and it was given a reading of about 300 degrees when I put it back on. So you can see various temperatures around, not too much. That mica is rated at 1500, 1600 degrees, and so you're not even close to causing that mica to melt or anything. And you're getting a good view of your fire. Trying to go into the coals in the bottom, but couldn't do it. Anyway, there we got, looking up the pipe and seeing the smoke coming out the top. If it was really efficient, there would be no smoke. You wouldn't see the smoke. But since you see smoke, your fire is inefficient. This is my opinion, and so the stove is not perfect. But there we go. After I put the clean that coil, and so now we're starting to get a real temperature reading. 300, 400, somewhere in the middle. That's what it should be. So here we are. We're going to put a piece of wood in the fire, and we got a good burn going, but I would not use this stove in a tent. As you can see, there is smoke and flames coming out with the door open. That would not be acceptable inside a tent, in my opinion. It just doesn't have enough draw. The stove is a great little stove for outdoor hand warming and just enjoying the time with it, but to use it in a tent, I wouldn't recommend it. If I could weld, I would make a bigger exhaust flue, maybe a 4-inch instead of a 2.5-inch, and then you would have better draw. But I do have the vent on the back of the stove slightly open, and even then you get fire out of the front when you open the door on it. But there it is, TMS Camp Stove, 4 years later, and slightly rusted but not destroyed. Still strong little stove, and a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing the project, and I've enjoyed having comments. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.